So today we're going to look at 4D and 4J. Together these are sections where they teach you how to solve equations using technology. In both sections they go through other ways of solving and also a different way to do it on the calculator. But what I'm going to do is just go over the way that I think is the most straightforward. So at the top there I wrote refer to example 12 on page 100. Your book goes through multiple ways to solve equations using your calculator, but the one that they use on this example, example 12 on page 100, is the way I'm going to show you today. And I think it's, if you're going to pick one, I think it's the most straightforward. We'll use this the most in here. So let's start with this equation. This is a linear equation. We have the skills and knowledge to solve this from Algebra 1 and even before that. So the first thing we're going to do to both sides in order to solve for x is add 10. So we get to 4.5x equals 12.7. And then we divide by 4.5. And there's our answer. So x equals 2.82. You could put the repeating bar if you would like, but it's not necessary. That is our solution using our skills from previous algebra courses. Not all equations are going to be this straightforward to solve, so we need to have another method. So we're going to start by using this method with linear equations, where you can figure out the answer another way, but then we're going to be doing this with quadratics and other equations that you don't necessarily currently have the skills to solve. So this is the calculator way to solve the same question. We are going to go to the y equals button on the calculator. This is in the top left. This is where we graphed from. You'll want to clear out whatever's in there, so you can scroll down and up to clear this window completely out. We are going to type in the left and the right side of the equation. So into y1 for this example, I will put the left side of the equation. So I'm going to put that, okay, as the left side. So 4.5x minus 10. And in my y2, I'll put the other side of the equation, this side, which is just 2.7. So I'll do that here. So 4.5, if you don't know, the x button is right here, xton, right here underneath mode, minus 10, and below that 2.7. Now we're going to press graph. Sometimes our graphs will show up, and sometimes they're going to be off of our 10 by 10 here little graph. In this case, they show up. So what we're looking for is the point of intersection. So sometimes this happens at a nice clean point. And if that is true, then we'll be able to go second table and find it. So we know the answer is about 2.8. So if I scroll through my table, right, it doesn't show up because this is only going to show up for whole numbers. So we need another strategy. So second table is how I got here. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. So when it doesn't work, we press second, calculate. So second, calc, which is right above trace here. And we want to find the intersection point, which is 5. Enter. So the first thing it says is first curve. What I like to do is this little flashy dot, if I can just scroll and get it close to my intersection point. Enter. Second curve, flashy dot's still there, enter. It says guess, just press enter, and it's going to give you your answer. So 2.82222, which is exactly what we got here, is our x value. So you'll have to press enter 3 times. And x equals 2.8222, right? And there it is. This is the way to do it from the calculator. There's going to be instances where we're solving equations that we don't have methods for, like by hand methods. So it's important to practice this. So let's do another one. Let's see. Solve 2x minus 70 equals 5 times x plus 3. That's a big number, so it might not show up on our graph, so let's find out. We're going to use this method. We can come back and do the by hand method too after we try it. So we're going to press y equals. In y1, I'm going to put the left side. So here's my calculator technique. Y equals. y1 is going to be 2x minus 70. y2 is going to be the other side, 5 times x plus 3. So here we go. 2x minus 70 is my y1. 5 parentheses x plus 3 is my y2. Graph it. We're looking for the point of intersection. And if you notice, here's one of our lines, and that's all I see. So I'm going to need to zoom out. We can try, there's multiple ways to get this calculator to zoom out. So let's just try a couple. So zoom, and it'll let you zoom out. 3. Enter, enter. Let's see what happens. Alright, we see another line. Ooh, so now I can kind of, at least I see both lines, so I have an idea that they're intersecting probably down here somewhere. Okay, so let's zoom out again. Now, whenever you zoom out, there's this little flashy dot. I'm going to move it down because I know that my intersection point is further down. So let's see how that works. Okay, alright, we're seeing most of that line. Oh my gosh, look at that. We can see it. So this is your first strategy. Use the zoom button. Try to zoom out until you can see if they intersect. Another choice will be your window button, but it can be a little tricky if you don't know where to look. So we'll come back to that in a second. So I can see where they intersect now. Perfect. So I'm going to go through the same things I did here. Second, calculate 5. So second, calculate, brings me to a list. The fifth one is intersection, intersect, enter. We scroll to where they're intersecting with my flashy dot. Enter, enter, enter 3 times. And it gives me an intersection point of, so I'm going to, if you want to put an arrow, those are your steps. X equals negative 28.33, right, repeating. There's our solution. To solve this by hand, just as a little reminder, we take our original problem. We'll start out by distributing the 5. So 2x minus 70 equals 5x plus 15. I'm going to add the 70 to both sides. 2x equals 5x plus 85. Subtract the 5x. Negative 3x equals 85. And divide by negative 3. Fingers crossed we get the same answer either way. 85 divided by negative 3. Yay! Same answer. Negative 28.3, repeating. Okay. By hand, calculator method. So now let's do a problem that we would maybe struggle with a little bit trying to solve by hand. So this is going to be more like your questions from 4J. 4D is your linear equations. So these are your quadratics, 4J. Let's see, let's do 4x squared plus 4x equals 15. You might remember from Algebra 1 how to solve this by hand. You'd have to move the 15 over, you'd have to factor, or use the quadratic formula to get your solutions. We're not so concerned with that. What we're concerned about is can we find the answer using our calculator. So I'm going to go to my y equals, type in the left and type in the right. So y equals, my y1 is the left side, 4x squared plus 4x. My y2 is the other side, which is only 15. This side, that side. So take back the calculator here. Y equals, clear out the last problem. My y1 is 4x squared, is right here, right above the word log, plus 4x, and my y2 is 15. Graph it. Ooh, we're all zoomed out still, so we might need to zoom back in, show you how to do that the best way. The best way to zoom back in is going to be to click zoom, and there's zoom standard, Z standard, which is 6. That's going to get you back to that traditional kind of 10 by 10. Let's see. We can see our quadratic, which is this one with the x squared, but we can't see it's 15. So we do need to zoom out a little bit. 15 is up here somewhere. So let's see how that works. There's that, and there's that. So with this, your two equations are actually intersecting at multiple points. That means that this equation has multiple solutions. We need to find both. So we need to find both of the places where this line is intersecting this parabola. 2 places. So we use our second calculate intersect button. And what's important here is that you tell it which point you're looking for. So take your little cursor. Let's find this left point first. So there's like a left one and then a right one. So take your cursor and get it as close as you can to that point right there where they're crossing. Press enter, enter, enter 3 times. And it tells us that that point is at x equals negative 2.5. We'll do the same thing, but we're going to go around to the right point. So second, calculate, intersect. Scroll your little flashy dot over to where it's close to that one. Enter, enter, enter 3 times. And it gives us x equals 1.5. As far as double checking, like we've been doing up here, we solved it by hand, came up with the same answer, yay! To check to see if these are in fact solutions to this equation, you got to go back to an Algebra 1 skill. And one of those skills you would have learned is to take these solutions and plug them in for x and see if they work. So we can check them. So let's see, 4 times negative 2.5 squared, I'm just plugging this in, plus 4 times negative 2.5 should equal 15. Well, let's see. I just type it straight in. 4 parentheses, negative 2.5 squared plus 4 times negative 2.5. Yay, 15. And you can do that with the other one, or you can trust me. They work, okay? But this is a way to check. So if you're doubting yourself and you're like, oh, are these right? Plug them back in. See if they work. If they work, you know you're good. All right, let's do one more. We're going to do x squared plus 9x plus 14 equals 0. We are looking for the solutions here. So we're going to pick up my calculator, use my y equals button. My y1 is the x squared plus 9x plus 14. And my y2 is 0. Okay. So y equals, clear out our last question. And in my y1, I type the left side. X squared plus 9x plus 14. And on the other side, we have a 0. Remember to zoom back in. It's zoom 6. Now, you can't see the line y equals 0, and that's because that is right here. The line y equals 0 is your x-axis. This horizontal line right here at y equals 0. So it's technically there, you just can't see it. So we're going to find these 2 points. All right. Second, calculate. Intersect. And I like to get my cursor, I like to tell my graphing calculator, help it out and find that point. So by getting close to it, I'm helping it out. I'm saying this is the point I'm looking for. Enter, enter, enter. Negative 7. And if we do the same thing with the other point, scroll over and get closer to it. Enter, enter, enter 3 times. X equals negative 2. Now, this is the first example where our answers came out as whole numbers. What that means is we'd be able to find these from our table. So second graph brings us to a table. And if I look at when x is negative 7, both of my y values are the same. That means that that's where they cross. They share this point. Additionally, if we go down to x equals negative 2 here, both the y values are also the same there. So this is how you can use your table, but it only works if your x values are whole numbers. So kind of use this other strategy as well, kind of use them together. We will be referencing the table quite a bit in an upcoming section when we start sequences. So it is a good habit to get used to going second graph and kind of peeking through that table and understanding what this means. But right now you're welcome to just use the intersect button. Alright, this should be enough to get you started on your 4D and 4J homework. Once again, just always ask me if you need a little bit of help or re-explaining. Happy to help however I can.